I was willing to do that and be a provider rather than be a dream chaser.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes those things overlap, and sometimes they don't.
Yeah.
And it's great. And so a lot of the things you read and a lot of the stuff that you would hear people talk about is you can be both a provider and a dream chaser simultaneously. Except when you can't.
Yeah.
What do you do?
Yeah.
What do you do if you can't do both? And you have to choose. And so for me, I felt like I had been able to chase a dream, chase multiple dreams, try a lot of different things vocationally, and through the self-employed years, and be a provider. Mm-hmm. But as the provision was beginning to wane and get tougher and progressively tougher, and not just for a month, and not just for a couple months, like for that to continue to go, like, what is going on here?
Mm-hmm.
For that to continue, I just had to just decide, like, am I going to keep pushing this? Particularly when I would say, too, I don't know that my dream was as clear at that point anymore.
I see.
And
okay.
so I can't say that I had some vivid thing that I was pursuing.
Yeah.
Because that's where it gets really tough.
Mm-hmm.
When you have a very clear thing that you want and that you're pursuing, and yet the provision seems to be separate from that.
Yes.
So that's when you have the starkest difference, or the starkest just sort of variance between the two realities.
Yes.
For me, in this particular case, and thankfully, I think the dream had faded a lot. I had been and done a whole lot of things. I'd been a lot of places. I'd done a lot of things. And I was like, I've kind of done, this is an 11-year run on trying to do something that I didn't know if I'd get 12 months out of it.
Sure.
So I was able to stretch what was a 1-year try into 11. Mm-hmm. I felt pretty good about that. And I was certainly willing to just shift into provision mode.
If you have any areas of concern for the state of the church, where are those areas of concern?
Biblical literacy, illiteracy, people not reading their Bibles, Christians getting spoon-fed through podcasts, following their favorite preachers but not their pastor, not reading the Bible, expecting theology to come through song only and not through the Word, or through sermon only and not through the Word. You know, it's kind of like the same thing as diet and exercise. You know, it's like I want to be able to eat whatever I want and walk into a gym and walk back out and be healthier. I don't want to put in the work. I don't want to limit my diet. I want it to be easy. And, you know, there's a discipline to being healthy. There's a discipline to being spiritually healthy. And it's sad. And it really makes me concerned to think that you have to convince Christians to read the Bible. By definition, I think a Christian is one who longs for the pages of Scripture. But I think that we have so reduced, for fear of legalism maybe, or moralism, we've reduced the Christian life to a 5-minute devotion with God that you can get at the local bookstore, the ones that are still open. Or just show up to church on Sunday and give money and you're assumed to be healthy. If you ate 1 meal a week, even if it was loaded with nutrition, you're not going to be healthy, even if a sermon alone can produce health. There's absolutely the greatest issue facing the church today is professing Christians not being students and readers of Scripture. But more than that, probably the greater issue, even beyond that, is why that's the case. Like, what's going on in their hearts? The answer isn't just for people to start reading their Bible more, necessarily. It's addressing the heart issue of why is it that you aren't a student of Scripture? Why is it that it's been months or years since you've read the Bible more than 2 or 3 weeks in a row? That would be a serious problem if we looked at physical food consumption like we do spiritual food consumption. We would be really concerned. We would call it a disorder. You have an eating disorder. But in the church, we don't doesn't really get brought up much.
The Confederate flag was a battle flag of the Army of Northern Virginia. So it wasn't the nation's flag. The nation's flag looked very different. If you could see, Andrew could pull it up. It looked more like the American flag. It was
the nation's flag.
The Confederate States of
flags?
America flag. Their national flag was not the St. Andrew's Stars and Bars cross that we know of as the Confederate flag.
That was a flag in North
That
Carolina.
was a battle flag. No, it was a flag of the Army of Northern Virginia, Lee's army. It was his battle flag, which became so infamous because really all the hopes of the Confederation was built upon that army. There's many armies that were in the Civil War, Confederate armies, but that army itself was that. So it became that. But so it's a battle flag, and then it was a square flag. It wasn't a rectangle flag with white borders. Yeah, you can see. So that's a late iteration. They had changed it later once that Stars and Bars flag became more prevalent. If you scroll up a little bit, Andrew, should show the other one. Yeah, see those are the first. That's the first. First flag of the Confederacy there, which was just the 7 states that seceded at first. And it was basically the American flag, but with all the other states subtracted.
It
right?
really is.
Yeah, right. And then one other.
It's red, white, and blue, but there's just 7 stars, and there's 2 red bars and 1 white bar in between.
Exactly, and it's kind of like Texas flag, where Texas is the American flag, but minus 49 states. It's just the one Texas state. Really funny.
Interesting.
But and then later, but it was so hard to see the flags on the battlefield because they looked exactly the same. So they changed it eventually. But so that's the historical context. So. The flag was used when the Confederate flag became known as like synonymous with pro-segregation was during the Civil Rights Movement, and there's real things that happen with both are true. There's like this heritage narrative that's just there, and it just means like Southern pride, or it means like American rebelliousness. Like you'll see people. You can go into rural areas in Ohio and you'll see a Confederate flag, and they're like, well, Ohio was a Union state, but it's like this rebel thing. So there's that, but the things that really happened, the pictures of people like protesting the integrations of schools and them waving the flag, or the Ku Klux Klan using the flag, that is real. That really happened. So when people use the flag for not those reasons, right? Like we see people flying it, they need to realize that that's real. And so there's real experiences